Hello everyone, welcome back to Pwn TV, and today I'm going to be stalking Final Fantasy XI on social media such as Facebook and Reddit, and this is going to give me a little bit of insight in what other players think about the game. So let's get started. So I'm on the FFXI Azura server Facebook page, which is a fantastic Facebook page. I really like this. I think it's one of the best Final Fantasy Facebook pages out there. And there's this article here that popped up by Zisso, and basically it's just like he came across this thread and he's asking for thoughts. So here I am. Here I am to give you the thoughts of this article. So I found this article and this link. I'm going to look at it. So let's pull it up. So I started reading this, and I was reading the top part here, where basically they said they made some tweaks this year, and they're not sure why they're getting downvoted on this article. Well, A, you're on Reddit. Obviously, you're going to get downvoted by trolls, okay? B, you're talking about a 15-year-old game that people are passionate about. Someone is going to tell you that by rating Dragoon low, you're an idiot, okay? For example, I'm not saying that I did that, but I'm reading this and I get down to like Beastmaster, and I'm an avid Beastmaster player, and you're telling me it's 21st best. I'm already raging. I'm already raging, you guys. All right, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my computer read this to me and to you guys, because I don't want to read it, because I think that there's a lot of issues with this, and I'll actually point out those issues in this article. So let me go ahead and put on my text-to-speech.
It thrives at tanking several weaker enemies.
All right, let's actually
Puppet
go
Master,
to the top of this.
Dash
because
RP
we
equals 6.
obviously are not at the top of this, so let's go to the top of this. All right, so here we go. I'm going to try one more time. Let's play the text-to-speech.
All FFXI jobs and rankings in 50 words or less. 2018 edition for returning players.
And I'll pause it.
Last edited January 29th. 18 lowered RDM rating after good feedback. Increased PLD. Minor text edits don't know why I'm getting downvoted so much. Uneasy face. After my post last week sharing my blueprint for success as a returning player, https://www. Reddit. com/r/c/comments/7rn2vs/returning_to_heyrace_my_personal_blueprint_for/ I received some feedback and decided to rank all the jobs with a quick summary for each. See below. These are opinions and I'm sure some will disagree. That's okay with me. The purpose of this is to be a starting point for people as they return to the game or look to level a new job. Note, each ranking is on a 1 to 10 scale, with 10 being the best job. RP is short for returning player and EG is short for end game. The total ranking is the average of the two rankings. Black Mage, BLM, -RP equals 5 -EG equals 6 -total equals 5.5, T11th best, summary essentially required for certain fights. Strong in the new dynamis areas. Not insanely difficult to gear, but not as powerful as it once was, with BRD being buffed and Geo Magic Bubbles getting nerfed. Has fallen to middle of road with newer preferences to melee strategies.
Alright, so I'm pausing the text-to-speech here, and in case you guys are not with me still, basically what I'm going to point out is the way that this Reddit article was written is he does the average of the returning player ranking and the end game ranking. So as far as I can tell, that means if you're a returning player and you pick up this particular class, in this case Black Mage has a 5, so that means it's about half as difficult as it could be for a returning player, and it's a little bit more challenging, I guess. In-game being higher, I'm assuming that means that if it's 10, that means it's necessary for in-game content. So if that's the case, then what that would mean to me is that the 6 means that it's a little bit more necessary than it could be. But again, I don't know why the end game and the returning player are being combined like as a score. So the scoring really doesn't make sense to me. He explained it here, but it doesn't make sense. Why would you actually combine a returning player score with an end game score? They're two totally different things, right? So that doesn't make sense to me. So I have some questions about that. But let's talk about what he actually wrote for the Black Mage really quick, okay? So basically what he said for the Black Mage is it's not insanely difficult to gear. I agree with that. But he also says that it's fallen to the middle of the road with newer preferences to melee strats. All right, that's fine. I guess I can accept that that's a reasonable score. The fact that he scored it 11th best out of 22 jobs, that to me seems a little bit on the low end, and I'm not a Black Mage main, but I know that Black Mage is one of the original 6 jobs of this game, and as such is probably one of the top 6 choices in the game on almost every other forum I've ever read. Some people even say Black Mage is the best job to play. Still, always has been, always will be. And basically, their argument for that is this job never received any nerfs at all. It's never been nerfed. Nothing has ever been nerfed on Black Mage. It's only ever been buffed since it was released. And so it can't possibly be a very weak job. I do think that ranking it 11th best is actually fair, though. I do think that there are a lot of other jobs you could play that in most situations will be stronger for your strategy at winning the content than Black Mage would. Black Mage has a death strategy, that's about it. And take it from me, I literally just tried to kill Warder of Courage yesterday as Black Mage. That is an Escher Ruan boss, it's a level 150 boss. It is absolute virtue level 150 basically. And you can kill it with a Black Mage party, but not as easy as you can with a Summoner party. All right, I've tried both of them just yesterday. Summoner easily did it every time. Black Mage struggled and failed every single time, okay? So Black Mage is a bit weaker than Summoner, so yes, in some of the strategies for some of the content, you could probably just say Black Mage is just an obsolete choice, but I still feel like Death strategy is a viable choice, and if you have a competent team of Black Mages, you can get there. All right, so let's move on to the next one on this list. That is the Blue Mage. They're in alphabetical order, by the way, not
Has
in
fallen to
ranking
middle
order.
of road with newer preferences to melee
All
strategies.
right, let's actually get back to where we stopped at. Blue
Blue
Mage.
Mage. Blue. Dash RP equals 5 dash EG equals 5 dash total 5. T14 TH best. Summary almost primarily utilized as a DD in the current game. Factoring in defensive/healing abilities, it's one of the better DDS in my opinion. Excels in low buff situation but can fall behind two-handed DDS when lots of buffers are present. Expensive to gear well and getting spells takes time. Bard, BRD, dash RP equals 6 dash EG equals 8 dash total 7, T3RD best, summary easy to gear up to a playable level, but requires very expensive/time consuming gear to truly reach its highest tier.
All right, so we actually passed Blue Mage. It was a really, really quick synopsis of the job, and we started talking about Bard in this article, so that's fine. So what do I have to say about Blue Mage? Honestly, nothing. I think everyone that plays this game is familiar with Blue Mage. Why it's 14th best is absolutely makes no sense to me. Considering Blue Mage can do literally everything in the game, it's a jack of all trades just like Red Mage. It can main heal, it can melee, it can actually cast magic. It can do anything you need it to do. It can tank. Blue Mage is a versatile job. It has a lot of situational ability in every content imaginable, and without Blue Mage, this would be probably a totally different game with a lot more warriors running around, honestly. Or, I don't know. It's a hypothetical since it's a non-issue. I mean, Blue Mage is part of the game, and it always will be part of the game, and it's a really strong part of the game. And saying returning players have a 5 out of 10 difficulty is not right, honestly. And in-game content, 5 out of 10 for in-game content, that's also not right, considering all of the monsters in most Rizenjima Zone and Ruan Zone, in Escha and Rizenjima in general, they need Blue Mages for their team comp. Blue Mages shred a lot of content, level 135 plus, and that is because they have the highest sword skill known in the entire game. As far as I'm aware, they have the highest sword skill available, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, they have the highest weapon skill available. That means to say that every other weapon in the game, whatever job you're playing on that can use that weapon, you don't have a higher skill than Blue Mage does on sword. That's what I'm getting at. White Mages don't have a better club score. Paladin doesn't have a better sword score. Monk doesn't have a better hand-to-hand score. As far as I know, Blue Mages have a broken sword skill, and it only gets better when they get to Zona unlocked, since they get the extra sword skill from the ultimate weapon. So there's not much else to be said about this job other than ranking it 14th best to me looks like an idiotic move, considering anytime you log into Final Fantasy XI and do a search for any particular job, you're going to find the majority of everyone playing on the server is going to be Blue Mage. It is the most popular job, almost always is the most popular choice. At any point you log into Final Fantasy XI and you do a search for Blue Mages, you're probably finding more Blue Mages standing around on the server than any other job in the game, okay? Because that's how popular this job is. It should definitely not be ranked 14th. I don't know if I would rank it first, but it should not be ranked 14th. That to me seems like a really big mistake, and you wonder why you're getting downvoted, okay? This is like the most popular choice for every player in the game, and it has one of the most popular mythic choices, which is the Tizona Sword. You can't rank this 14. That doesn't make any sense at all. Alright, so let's get back on to the Bard. I believe I'll start the Bard one over again.
Bard, BRD, -RP equals 6-EG equals 8-total 7, T3RD best, summary easy to gear up to a playable level, but requires very expensive / time consuming gear to truly reach its highest tier.
No, it doesn't.
Honor March, from Ionic Horn, is one of the best buffs in the game.
No, it's
very
not.
important and in demand for many melee strategies. Not solo friendly for returning players.
That's also not true.
Beastmaster, BST.
Alright, so we're pausing this really quick. I am an ultimate bard, okay? I'm basically master bard. I have all of the spells on bard, most all of the gear on bard, some +3 stuff on bard. You get the point, right? I don't have Honor March because I'm busy getting other Aeonics at the moment, but I also know that Honor March is not ever needed for any content in this game. Quote me on this. Honor March is not needed for any content in this game, okay? Because why? Well, in order to get Honor March, you have to complete the Aeonic questline to actually get the Aeonic Horn in the first place. In order to do that, you have to have beaten every one of the strongest battlefields in the game without Aeonic Horn, which means you didn't have Honor March for the content in the first place, and you still were able to complete it. Honor March only makes your job a little bit easier, okay, as a bard. I would say as a bard you want this buff, but I would also say that it's an overrated buff. It's not as strong as a lot of the buffs you could just simply use on bard, and it's one of those things that honestly you can wait forever to get Honor March and you'll be just fine. People will still pick up your Bard if you don't have it. I also don't have a Carnwinen for Bard, which is the Mythic's dagger, and I also don't have a Dardabla for Bard, which is the harp, the Empyrean harp for Bard. Okay, what do I have for Bard that makes me a good Bard? I have a Yallarhorn, okay, and I have a Moonbow Whistle, alright, not even a high quality one, alright. Those are two basic components of every bard that I think are necessary. Honestly, to play bard, you need a Yallarhorn, which is the relic horn, and you need a Moonbow Whistle, normal or high quality, and that's basically it. Whatever else you put on your character is your call. Yeah, you're gonna need some skill up stuff probably, but people are not even gonna notice if you're gamped. Honestly, you're gonna lose a few points on your madrigal for accuracy or on your minuet for attack. You're going to lose a few points at best if you're actually not capped on your skills when you cast those songs, because most of these jobs that require you to cast buffs on your party, when you cast the buff you need to have on specific gear that enhances that skill on your character sheet, which in this case would be singing and wind instrument skill, basically. Alright, so that sort of thing is necessary to play a good bard, but all of that gear is easy to get. I mean, one of the best pieces is an ambuscade drop. That's easy content to complete. None of this stuff is difficult. It's not time consuming and it's not expensive. You get some JSEs quite easily. You get some ambuscade gear quite easily. You get a Yallarhorn, which is like the cheapest relic to build, and then you're basically done. And you can get a normal quality fucking Bard Whistle, the fucking Moonbow Whistle, and that doesn't even cost a whole lot of money, okay? Yeah, at one point, the high-quality Moonbow Whistle +1 was 700 million gil, but that was one time that it was sold for 700 million gil. After that, it was like 100 mil or less. I mean, honestly, I think it sold for 300 mil once, but it's like 100 mil or less for this item, and like even now, it's one of those most popular items in the game because they're even adding it to the Mog Bonanza for this year. If you win one, I think it's rank 2 prize or rank 1 prize, one of those rank prizes for the Mog Bonanza, you could get a free Moonbow Whistle +1 as a reward, because the game recognizes that that is an extremely useful item on Bard. Well, you can get it for free if you win the Bonanza right there, so you don't have to pay jack for this for this job. Why would you? I mean, I get that you ranked it third best. All right, it says third best here. And honestly, I agree with that. I think that this job is highly demanded, but I also think that it doesn't really matter what gear this job has. Most support classes in this game seem to be able to be played with little to no gear, the exception being White Mage. If you're playing White Mage as a support class, then you probably need to know what you're doing and have really good gear. But for Bard, I've played this job since it came out, you guys. This is an easy job to gear and an easy job to play. I'm surprised more people don't play it. It's a hella easy job. Before Geomancer was released, this was the AFK job in the game. Bard, okay? Alright, so I have some disagreements with this summary, but I agree that it is one of the best jobs in the game. So that's all I have to say about the Bard. Let's move on to the Beastmaster before we get too hung up on this information that we're given here. All right, here's Beast.
Beastmaster, BST, -RP equals 3-EG equals 3-total 3, 21st best. Summary was recently good but was nerfed by SE, requiring BSTs to be close to pet to do a ready move.
Whatever.
This made the job more dangerous to play.
No.
Very gear intensive job and jug pets clog up inventory.
No.
Good
And
solo
no.
job. Pets add versatility.
Sure.
1 hour ability, Unleash, is underrated.
I'll agree.
Corsair, COR-RP equals 7
Alright, so now we're moving on to the Corsair, so I'll pause it right here on the playback, and I'll explain to you guys how I feel about this Beastmaster one. This is the article that I read where I stopped reading. I literally stopped reading this when I read this. Obviously, the person that is posting this has not played every single job in this game well enough or long enough to know what they're talking about. They're getting information from other players. It even says right here, okay, so after good feedback, I increased Paladin, made minor text edits, and lowered Red Mage rating. After getting good feedback, do you know what that tells me? These 3 words, after good feedback, tells me that this guy is making his decision in this Reddit post based on other people's opinions. So we're talking about like career Red Mages telling you stuff about Red Mage, career Paladins telling you stuff about... Fuck that, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, I've played every one of these jobs to level 99. I've done everything on all of these jobs that I can possibly want to do on this game to the point where it's literally a boring game for me. And I will tell you that you are 100% wrong on Beastmaster. Like, nothing else needs to be said. Telling players that that it is a 3 out of 10 as far as the difficulty, as far as I guess 10 being the best in this case for a returning player, that's completely wrong. This should be a 10 out of 10. This is the easiest job to come back to the game and play. Your pet does all the work for you. It literally is the only job in the entire game that does not look at any of your stats, any of your skills at all when you actually calculate the damage and the stats of the pet that you make. When you summon the pet, we don't care what any of your stats are. Fun fact, this is also the only job in the game that when you sub Beastmaster and you use Charm, it actually looks at the level of your Beastmaster on your character sheet, not the level of your Beastmaster currently. So if you're level 20 in Valkyrie Dunes and you're subbing Beastmaster level 10, but you have a level 99 Beastmaster, when you press Charm, you're actually charming with a level 99 Charm, given your charisma stats of your current job. All right, now you can disbelieve that if you want, but this has been the case since the game has been released, and it's been tested and proven true that the charm mechanic is based on the high level of your beast on your character sheet plus the actual raw stats of your character currently, whatever level that might be. All right. So it's a little bit unfair. If you're subbing Beastmaster, it becomes a little bit more busted because of the ability that you have to actually just charm whatever the fuck you want, because your Beastmaster is actually higher than it currently is in the party, all right? So that's just something, a little fun fact I wanted to note, all right? But the other interesting things that we would like to talk about regard this article specifically, and that is going to be the relevant information, because obviously nobody charms, so that doesn't matter. But I just wanted to make that fun fact. It's the only job that actually uses its actual high level when its support job is Beastmaster, uses the high level to calculate whether the charm will land or not. Quite interesting. Don't know why that is. But anyway, not relevant. In this post, they basically say, was recently good? No, it's always been good. It was so good that it had to get a nerf by SE, and that nerf really didn't fix much. Honestly, it just made it an annoying job to play. So if there was an annoying ranking here, I would say that it's one of the most annoying jobs to play because of this particular patch, but this particular patch made it a fair job to play. Alright? By nerfing its range using its sick and ready moves, it actually forces the Beastmaster Master to actually be good at the game in order to play. You can't just use your sick and ready from like 50 yalms away and then AFK and let your pet do everything and then heal them whenever you'd like. No, you actually have to be part of the fight. And that's normally not a problem. If you're any geared at all, it's not a problem. By the way, I have very few gear on Beastmaster. I find that you can literally play the entire job with just Ambuscade gear, alright? And some 119 axes, and you're good. Get a Charmer's Merlin from Abacy, and you're fucking good. Like, this is not a difficult job to gear, and it's not a difficult job to come back to the game for. This should be a 10 out of 10 for returning players, man. This is one of the returning player jobs to play. There are 3 of them, okay? Beastmaster and Blue Mages are 2 of the best returning jobs to actually play, alright? Beastmaster, really strong job. Very good potential. Thief was the 3rd one, if you're curious. Very good potential to play coming back to the game. Very good potential to make money because everyone needs a power level, and Beastmaster is, quote me on this, the strongest power level area in the game. And yes, I'm considering Blue Mage. Beastmaster is stronger, deal with it. My Beastmaster is anyway. I don't know about all you scrubs, but my Beastmaster is the strongest power leveler in existence. So let's just make note of that really quick. But in game, also ranking it a 3, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. Because why are you saying that? Because nobody in their strategy is actually incorporating a Beastmaster? Well, you can add Beastmaster to any party setup, any single party setup in the game. You have so many jug pets that you could use for the content, which, by the way, you don't even need to buy until last minute from Auction House because they're always being sold because there's so many cooks on the server. So you can get any jug pet last minute from the Auction House, does not require any inventory space. So saying that it's intense job clogging up inventory, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. You're doing that to yourself. If you want 50 stacks of jug pets, that's on you, dude. You're an idiot. You need 1 jug pet with bestial loyalty, and you're good to go, okay? Like, give me a fucking break saying that this job clogs up inventory. I have maxed inventory. Most of my inventory is dedicated to paladin gear, dude. My Beastmaster might have 20 pieces of equipment on a good day, and that's about all you fucking need, dude. Are you serious? Like, telling you, no, this doesn't clog up inventory at all. It's a hella easy job to play. I would highly recommend this job to returning players, okay? Alright? Requiring Beastmasters to be close to do the ready move, okay, that's not a nerf, dude. That's not a nerf. That doesn't make the content more difficult. That just makes it more challenging, okay? There's a difference. When I say it's not any more difficult, what I'm saying is you could just gear for that and you're fine. It's challenging because you need to find the gear to actually be close to the pet in order to do these ready moves without getting wrecked, but you probably need to get a defending ring anyway, dude, and get some ambuscade gear with physical damage taken minus, and you're fucking fine. Like, are you serious? Why would this be difficult? Like, this isn't a difficult thing to do. Like, complete ambuscade, get defending ring, walk up, use ready move, walk away. Like, what the fuck is difficult about this? Are you serious right now? Like, no, this is not a dangerous job to play. I mean, it's a solo job. You should be an expert at danger. You should live for danger when you play Beastmaster. Give me a fucking break. This is an easy job to play, not difficult. Gear intense job? No, it's not. You have an ambuscade set for your tank set while you're running up, and you have a DT set, which is probably all Valorous gear or JSE, and that's going to basically do all the damage. The DPS set, when you use your sick and your ready moves, okay? And that's it. 2 sets of gear. 2 sets of gear, and I've been doing that for fucking 5-6 years now, dude, and not a problem, okay? I've played Beastmaster all the way from 75 cap moving forward. I was always top geared, and I always realized that it was very little gear needed, and now I don't even have a reward set anymore because it's such a simple job to play, and you get temps and Esha and Reason Gema anyway that heal your pet, so, like, you don't even fucking need reward gear anymore. This job is just getting easier to play, if anything. If anything at all, it's easier to play than it used to be. Alright? Simple as that. So easy to play this job. Can fit a Beastmaster in any comp that you can imagine, and it will be just great. It can tank. It can do whatever the fuck you want it to do. It was a tank before Puppet Master came into the picture. It was a tank. They have plenty of tank pets. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Alright, please. Bouncing Bertha for the fucking win. Thank you. Alright? Good solo job? No. Correction. Great solo job. Best solo job. In fact, there is no better solo job than Beastmaster. Beastmaster is the solo job of this game. Always has been. Always fucking will be. Alright? Pets adding versatility is an understatement of the century, considering you think that pet jugs clog up inventory. Also making a statement that pets add versatility. I mean, that you're just. That's just whipped cream on top of the pie, you know? Like, this is shit that you don't fucking need to say. Obviously, we get it. Obviously, you're the kind of person who plays Beastmaster or got your information from a kind of person who plays Beastmaster to the point where they understand pets add versatility, and they also have a stack of every jug pet known to man in their inventory when they don't have to do that. There are NPCs to get your jug pets. There are auction houses that you can get your jug pets from when needed. You can just simply look at the strategy guide, bgwiki.com, and you could simply look at all of the pets on that list and see what you need for the particular content you're doing, and then go buy that jug. So yeah, it adds versatility. Obviously, that's a pretty obvious. That's like the truest thing that he wrote. But honestly, I feel like he's not even doing Beastmaster justice by writing those 3 words. Like, and yes, this last part, 1 hour ability unleash is underrated. That is another understatement, dude. This is Summoner all over again. If you think that there's content you can win with a Summoner burn, then guess what? There's also that same exact content that you could win with a Beastmaster burn. Period. I don't care what you have to say about that. It is true. Beastmaster can literally replace every single job combination in this game for any content. Whatever content it happens to be, you can throw Beastmasters at it, or some number of Beastmasters at it, with some number of different pets, varying pets, and you can get the content done. You can fucking do this whole game with nothing but Beastmasters, okay? If everyone on the server only plays Beastmaster, you can still complete all of the fucking content, okay? Don't even fucking say that you can't. Beastmaster can get it done, alright? I've seen some crazy shit with 18 Beastmasters in a party, so don't even fucking tell me that it's not possible. Easy job to play. Really fun job to play. I would highly recommend Beastmaster to everyone. Saying that it's the 21st best job out of 22 jobs is an insult. A fucking insult, and you're an idiot for writing this. Let's move on to Corsair, one of my favorite jobs.
Corsair, COR-RP equals 7-EG equals 7-total 7, T3RD best, summary easy to gear, especially roll only, at first but can get expensive fast. Strong weapon skills and good skill chain closer. Useful job but many people have it, so even though there is demand the supply is very high. Good choice for new players returning with well-geared friends.
Alright, so I like that. I do think that everything that he wrote here was very, hits home for me. It's like the person that wrote this knows what Corsair in 2018 is actually doing. And so I don't really have anything bad to say about this, honestly. I feel like he's 100% right in it being the 3rd best job. I feel like, or tied for 3rd, because Bard is also 3rd on this list, as you can see. I feel like that he's doing making a fair statement with easy to gear, especially roll only. I agree with that. I think all you really need to do to be roll only is get a few pieces of gear, and then mostly after that, just merit your Corsair to where it has higher roll duration, and you're good. You're a roll only Corsair. At first, but it can get expensive. That is true. Death penalty is one of the best mythics in this game, and it is a fucking mythic, which means that it's very expensive. So yeah, it is an expensive job. You can keep throwing money at this job, and you still won't be the best Corsair in the game. Now I have to go get a Hepatizen Sapara +1 because apparently that's the new thing people are doing. That's a lot of money, which I guess I still need in order to have the best sword still, because for a while it was always Fettering Blade, but then they gave you the Hepatizen Sapara and the Hepatizen Rapier, and those are both really good on Corsair. Right, so strong weapon skills, I agree. Also, I would say that busted weapon skills would be a better set of words to use in this sentence, only because the Corsair is the only job in the game that gets the Anarchy +2 and or the Attack Toast, which is just an upgraded Anarchy +2, which gives you a TP bonus of 1,000, TP bonus +1,000, which is only ever good when you use non-marksmanship weapon skills, because the gun itself is not that incredible, which justifies the TP bonus being on it. So it's a fair gun, but it's also a gun that you can have on your character when you use your sword weapon skill, and Corsair is the only job in the game that can do Savage Blade with an Attack Toast equipped. Alright, so Corsair's Savage Blade is the strongest Savage Blade in existence, and that is because you have the gun built. Once you have the gun built, the Anarchy +2 or the Attack Toast, then, and that's with a K for whatever reason, Attack Toast, That makes your Corsair extremely strong, extremely strong. The TP bonus plus 1,000 makes all of your dagger weapon skills 1,000 better, and all of your sword weapon skills 1,000 better. Basically, that's what it does. So it's really strong. Other than that, you have your RMEA guns, which all of them are extremely good, and they make the weapon skills that are associated with them extremely better. All right, so in general, like fucking nuts job. All right, good skill chain closer. Yeah, I would agree. Lead and salute with the death penalty in your fucking gun slot is amazing closer. Honestly, like we're talking nines all the time. All right, highly recommend you get that. Spend the money for it. Useful job, but many people have it, so even though there is a demand, the supply is very high. Okay, I mean that's fair. Everyone plays Corsair because it's a high demanded job. One of the easiest jobs to master because it gives you Corsair's role natively as a role, which means you get more XP and capacity points than you should, which means it's quite easy to play this job up to master. Just like Bard, by the way. You didn't mention that on your Bard section. But it's the same thing with Bard. Like you don't have the CP role, but with Bard it's an extremely easy job to master because of its ability to make all of the party members better in the party. So you kill shit faster. So you might not get more CP, but that's the same exact reason why Corsair is good, because in a party situation you can boost the party stats. In this case, probably attack and XP. Probably, yeah, maybe Samurai roll and then a Corsair roll for XP and CP gain. But in this case, with the Bard, it's just like more accuracy attack, more haste, honor march if you have it, things like this, and you're getting CP much faster because you're killing much faster because you have the support. Bard is the support role. You have the support in the party. You're gonna master that job faster. So most jobs that are support classes typically have the ability to be mastered much faster than jobs that are not support classes. I mean, I have a Thief Master and a Corsair Master and a couple of others that are really close to Master, which was Bard's really close and Beastmaster's really close. So a lot of these are really close. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I'm actually one of the best Paladins on the server, and I still don't have Master Paladin. Why? Because Paladin doesn't have the ability to shred through XP monsters as fast as all of the other jobs do. So it's a little bit more of a struggle to get that job mastered. Take it from any Master Paladin. It's a struggle to master that job when you size it up to like Corsair or Bard, for example. All right, so I don't really have much else to say about Corsair. A good choice for players returning as with well-geared friends. Yeah, that's a fair statement. If you have a well-geared friend, you can just throw Corsair rolls at him, and he's even better. But you can do the same with fucking Bard, right? And every other support class in the game. Like it's a support class. And Dancer, you could do the same shit, dude. Like any of these jobs that support the party, like you could just play them as long as you want, and they're really strong in a party situation to get master status, which is really strong. So yeah, let's move on from here and move past Corsair. So what are we on right now? Dancer? Let's talk about Dancer.
Dancer, DNC, -RP equals 4-EG equals 6-total 5, T1 4RD best, summary unique job that can do a lot of things but is generally considered a DD. Doesn't really shine until geared well. Not the easiest job to play but can do impressive weapon skill and skill chain damage. Has low attack and is best suited playing with multiple buffer jobs.
Alright, so I will agree with most of that. I do think that impressive weapon skill damage is an understatement, considering a Dancer with Terpsichore and Twashtar literally does busted amounts of weapon skill damage all the time. Like 9's ridiculous with no support, like with no multiple buffer jobs needed. Like a really strong Dancer can just shred everything with no multiple buffer jobs needed. So saying that you require multiple buffer jobs to be good simply because it has quote unquote low attack, you're looking at the general audience of Dancers at your disposal, and most of which or all of which probably don't have the ultimate weapons done. Once you have ultimate weapons done on Dancer and you've geared your Dancer and you finished your Dancer, it's 119, high quality gear, everything. Once all of your gear is done, it is not generally considered a DD. It is like a DD. It is one of the best DDs. It doesn't require buffer jobs when you have the gear because it is not low attack when you have the gear. Like that's not an issue, okay? So I have a few things to say. Coming back to the game, playing Dancer, that's a mistake. Don't do it. Dancer is a great job only if you're a career Dancer. If you're not a career Dancer, you're probably better off playing Thief because, yeah, you probably do have low attack and you probably do need multiple buffer jobs to be any good if you're not a career dancer. But I've seen some main dancers, and they are tens in these slots here. If they just came back to the game at any point, they'd still be a 10. They just get the new content done. If they are in-game content in general, they're a 10 because they're using a Watchtower with Rugil Storm. They're doing nutso damage. They're doing nutso damage. I do think that it's a fair saying that it's 14th best job in the game, only because a lot of people don't play it because it's kind of a job for fairies. I mean, like you're dancing to win. I mean, the same thing could be said for Bard. Like you sing to win. Like you have to be a particular kind of snowflake to like that, right? Same with dancer, but like my argument, I guess, is the person who wrote this probably doesn't. They don't see that many dancers, which is why they're ranking it like this. And I haven't seen that many dancers, so I really can't. I really can't argue with this. I mean, he's right when it say it doesn't really shine until geared well. That's true. That is true. So I would say that this is a fair summary of the job, I guess. It's not necessarily wrong. It's just you haven't met the same dancers I have because some of them do insane damage, which I guess is you probably are well aware of since you wrote doesn't really shine until geared well. Anyway, let's talk about another job on this list because this is a long list and I think we could move on. Dancer's really not that underscored, I guess I could say.
Dragoon, DRG, dash RP equals 4 dash EG equals 5 dash total 4.5, T17TH best, summary a solid DD under one condition, the Wyvern stays alive, 20-minute cooldown. Elevated by its Aeonic weapon because Stardiver is a strong weapon skill. Gets TP quickly, can shed hate, and Wyvern can emergency cure. Complex job to gear because of the Wyvern. Thrives in smaller groups.
Wow. Wow. Wow, I was muted that entire time, so you guys probably just heard nothing. I was arguing that this was probably this is probably all correct. Okay, this is probably all correct, but I just have a few gripes about this. Basically, one, the fact that they said solid DD under one condition, the Wyvern stays alive. Well, you have super revitalizers in Esha and Rizanjima that allow you to refresh your call Wyvern anyway, so you could just refresh that ability and it doesn't matter. A. B, I've seen Dragoons out DPS everyone else without a Wyvern, so like it doesn't matter. It's a solid DD period. You just need to put a period right after this where it says a solid DD and just ignore the rest of this stuff. I mean, this is a no-brainer. You want to keep your Wyvern alive. If it's dead, that's not a big deal. Some DDs are prepared for their Wyvern to be dead, alright? That's my point, okay? So, elevated by Aeonic Weapon, just like every other job in the game, right? A Stardiver is a strong weapon skill, I agree. So, yeah, the Aeonic Weapon makes it that much better, but most of the Aeonic Weapons make the jobs better in the first place, alright? Like, Runefencer becomes the DPS once they get Lionheart, basically, and that's the Aeonic Greatsword. So yeah, so I mean, and for the same argument, like the weapon skill that's associated with the Runefencer Aeonic is the same kind of thing as Stardiver. It does a fuck ton of damage in general. So yeah, really strong statement to be made there. I do think that the Aeonic is really important for the Dragoon, but it's not mandatory, obviously. Gets TP quickly, that's an understatement. Like, all of its job abilities allow it to get TP and shed hate. So yeah, basically, job ability kit makes it to where this is basically possible. Wyvern can cure, can emergency cure. Yeah, if you know what you're doing, you can do that as well. Complex job to gear because of the Wyvern. Okay, you probably have a whole set of gear for your Wyvern or multiple sets of gear for your Wyvern. I'm not a Dragoon main, so I don't really know what all would be needed for the Dragoon to allow its Wyvern to be much stronger, but there is quite a list. So yeah, I can agree with that. And thriving in smaller groups, I mean, I don't think the group size really matters to the Dragoon much. So basically, like, saying that it is the 17th best is I've seen some Dragoons do some insane shit, like Solo Neek, for example, and even Maju. Like, there's some crazy Dragoons out there. So they're gonna probably have to laugh at you when they read this and they see that it is the 17th best job. Uh, I don't think that's the 17th best job. I think that it's only the 17th best job if you're not geared to be the first best job. Basically, Dragoon is a crazy DPS, and it can tank, and it can be utility where it can shed hate, like you said here. So in general, it can do basically a lot of things that you need it to do in the party, and then more. And more on top of that, it can do. It has access to so many tricks that you probably didn't even think of. So many that I just don't have time to list them here. So saying that it is 17th best is just not right. I feel like this is not right. I do think that these are fair rankings as far as returning player and as far as in-game. Maybe you want to bump in-game up to like 7 though, probably. Something like that. Because why would Dark Knight be a 7 but Dragoon's not? Like, they're kind of the same thing, honestly. So they should both be ranked about 9th. Both of them should be ranked 9th. So let's move on and see what they have to say about Dark Knight, okay?
Thrives in smaller groups. Dark Knight, DRK, -RP equals 5-EG equals 7-total 6, T9TH best, summary can sometimes dish out insane damage. Difficult to gear well. Can fall behind other DDS without the right buffs and Empyrean Greatsword. Benefits if trash mobs are around that it can absorb stats from. Can really become a HP sponge for healers in certain situations.
Alright, I unmuted this time, so we're good. Okay, I'm going to be very careful that I unmute as soon as I get done having the text-to-speech read the entire summary. Okay, so we don't have that issue with Dragoon again, because that was hella annoying. I had a really good thing to say, and then it was all muted, so very annoying. Anyway, so Dark Knight, here we go. I feel like this is a pretty fair summary for Dark Knight. I like everything that is said here. I didn't even consider the fact that the trash mobs being around to absorb stats from. It feels a lot like having trash mobs around to use Nirvana Aftermath in a Summoner Burn, for example. But I have partied with Dark Knights before, and they are amazing once they've absorbed HP with Drain 3 before the fight. Like, it's really, really strong. So, yeah. Yeah, this is a really good summary for Dark Knight, and I agree with it. There's nothing else that I can say. It says can fall behind other DDs without the right buffs. Yeah, if you don't have the trash mobs to absorb your stats from, and you don't have an RMEA in general, which I guess is the Khalid Bog that they're talking about right here, Empyrean Greatsword, which is an extremely good greatsword to get, then yeah, I could see how that's true. But I feel like you don't need the Khalid Bog to play Dark Knight. You could probably play Dark Knight just fine with other RMEA choices, like the Scythes, for example, and you'll probably be just fine. But you should get Khalid Bog. I think it's a strong greatsword, and if you play Paladin, it also makes your Paladin a DPS because you can equip it on Paladin, basically. Just wanted to point that out.
Can really become a HP sponge for healers in certain situations. Geomancer, Geo, -RP equals 8-EG equals 9-total 8.5, second best, summary a popular job for returning players to gear because it's needed for almost everything. Magic skills are low, meaning newer Geos can struggle to land key enfeebles in some fights. Ergon weapon is powerful, meaning people who built one may be prioritized for invites and in groups.
Okay, so this guy's basically telling us everything else that we already know about Geomancer. The summary is kind of like, you might as well, everybody already knows this. You don't even need to write these words because everybody already knows this. Returning players coming to the game are going to struggle with Geomancer, but they will get party invites. They're going to struggle in that they probably are too busy doing ambuscade with their group to get any of the gear choices that they need done. They're probably too busy actually getting invites to groups to do their Ergon weapon, which is the Idris. They're probably doing a lot of stuff that they don't need to be doing if they're returning to the game and playing Geomancer. I would basically say, in a nutshell, returning players should not play Geomancer, okay? Period. Why? Because Geomancer requires you to play for a solid 6 months to even get the Ergon weapon, to even consider getting the Mythic weapon done. Like, you need to play for almost a year in order to even have the points necessary. It requires a lot of focus and dedication, okay, to get to this point. Or an extremely lucky Mog Bonanza lottery winning, all right, to get the Idris done. You need the Idris. really, to play this job the best, okay? So end game requires Idris almost always. Like, I would say 80% of the content that you're going to get invited for as a Geo that needs a Geo, they needed an Idris Geo, mostly. There are some content that is still level 150 that can still be beaten without an Idris Geo. In that case, you don't need the Idris Geo for those fights. You probably have enough other ultimate weapons at your disposal in the party that the Idris Geo is not needed. You need an Idris Geo when you're using a summoner burn, probably. Probably almost always need the Idris Geo for stuff like that. But for melee burns, you probably don't always need the Idris Geo because every one of your melee players in your group probably have an ultimate with a higher skill on like, let's say that they have an ultimate sword. They have a sword skill 269 instead of 248 or whatever it is, 242. I think it's 242. But whatever, the ultimates give you a higher skill level, like higher sword skill, higher fucking X skill level. It doesn't matter, right? I'm getting annoyed because I don't want to sit here and tell you that the Lionheart has a higher 269 greatsword skill, and the Burt Gang has a 269 sword skill. All of them have a 269 skill, and that's why they're good, alright? The Geomancer having no Idris is fine in a melee burn because all of the fucking melee jobs have the 269 skill, so they don't need your freaking Idris to make their shit weaker because they're already overgeared for the content. Even the 150 content, they're still fucking overgeared for it, dude. I've seen fucking I want to call him Absolute Virtue now. I've seen Warder of Courage go down with no Idris Geo in the party. Yes, we had a Geo, but it wasn't an Idris Geo. But it's fine because everyone was rocking a fucking RMEA. Like, everyone had Ionics already. Like, are you serious? This was the easy content because everyone was overgeared for it, dude. So, yeah, this is fair to say. Like, Geo requires Idris, so they are prioritized. I agree. I agree with that. I'd probably want an Idris Geo before I took a non-Idris Geo, but it depends on the person. If it's a friend of mine that doesn't have Idris done, and we don't need Idris for the content anyway because I've beaten it before without Idris with the same comp that I have at my disposal, I'd probably say fuck the Idris Geo. Like, I'd rather have my friend in the party to get the content done. Alright? Sue me. Fine. Whatever. So, yeah, I mean, just because they're better gear doesn't mean they're always going to get invited to groups, so that's not necessarily always true. It's just on average true for most of your pickup groups. All right, the next statement that was made here is that magic skills are low, meaning that newer geos can struggle to land key enfeebles in some fights. No, 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 no. You said that magic skills are low on Geomancer? Really? I've seen Geomancer. I've seen the gear that they have access to. Alright? If you are geared for it, you can fucking do whatever you want as a Geomancer. You can land all enfeebles as a Geomancer. You don't fucking need to say that Geomancer's magic skills are low because they're Geomancer. That's not fucking true. Okay, it says new. Okay, alright. It says newer Geos. It does say newer Geos. So, scratch that. It's probably true. It's probably true that you can't enfeeble monsters as a fresh Geo. That's probably true. But if you have the gear for it, magic skills are low is the worst way to start this sentence because you're actually directing that to newer Geos not being able to land key enfeebles. Okay, alright. I need to step away from this for a moment and look at it in a slightly different light because I missed the word newer even though I read it there. I was thinking that the person who wrote this was basically saying Geomancers can't land key enfeebles because Geomancers have a low magic skill as far as enfeebling. And yeah, that is technically true. Their enfeebling is lower than, say, red mages. But like I said, the gear that they have access to is extremely strong for magic skills. Alright, magic accuracy is extremely high on Geo if you have all the gear for it. So my point is that this needs to be probably rephrased to where it's very clear that you need to get the gear in order to actually land the enfeebles. But honestly, that's the case for all enfeebles. For all enfeebling magic, for any job that enfeebles at all, they require the gear in order to enfeeble shit. But I want to make sure that everyone's clear and on the same page when I say Geomancer can enfeeble whatever the fuck they want to. Alright? They can stun Zerd. Like, are you serious? They can do whatever the fuck they want. Alright? They can. They fucking can. Okay? And that's saying something when they can blind Maju. They can fucking... I've seen a Geomancer blind Maju before. Maju is so fucking hard to blind, and I've seen a Geomancer do it. You don't need Red Mage for that shit when you have a Geo that can just simply do it. All right. So it's the same thing for a lot of the in-game content. Just requires gear, patience, and skill, and experience. All right. Once you have all that, you're good. A popular job for returning players, yeah, because everyone wants a Geo in the party because Idris is amazing. So when you come back to the game, you're going to be pressured to get that, and that sucks for you. But it's a highly sought after Ergon weapon, and I would recommend you get it. Okay, and saying that it's needed for almost everything is also true, only because people are lazy and they realize how much easier the content becomes with a geomancer in the party. Yeah, that's the truth of it, honestly. These people are just lazy. You can beat all the content without a geomancer. It is possible. It's not impossible to beat all of the helms from Reason Gema without a geomancer. They just say it's basically needed because it makes things much easier. So less luck is required to win the content, basically, and that is true. So saying that it is the second best and all this, basically all the statements that were made here, I'm going to have to agree with them with this with stipulation, basically. I wouldn't say that you need to come back to the game as a fresh 99 and play Geomancer as a career job. You really need to know what you're doing in order to play this job, but it's not a very hard job to pick up. It's just a difficult job, or I should say challenging job, to actually gear for the end game content you're going to find yourself in. All right, that's basically it. So let's move on to the next job before I get myself in too much trouble with Geo, huh?
Monk, MNK, -RP equals 2-EG equals 2-total 2, 22nd best. Summary: sadly, Monk has become the worst job in the game in many situations. Hand-to-hand weapons do poor weapon skill damage and the job doesn't have any notable buffs that help other party members. SE tried to fix the job recently, but the changes did not move the needle much.
Alright, honestly, they are right on most of this. Square Enix did try to fix the job recently, but they didn't give you a moonbow necklace for Monk, like they did for Bard. When they fixed Bard, they gave Bard basically 2 Yaller horns. When they fixed Monk, they didn't give Monk 2 hand-to-hand ultimate weapons. Alright? So, basically, yeah, Monk is one of those jobs that is kind of like meh. Nobody really cares about this job. It can DPS, it can tank, it can do a lot of things, but do you really want it to? Probably not. Is it prepared to tank in the place of a paladin in any situation? Probably not. Can it? Yes. Hell yes it can. Monk can tank everything in the game, not a problem. They have so much HP at their disposal. If they have the immunity to back it up and the DPS to keep the hate, and they're provoking every 30 seconds, or flashing or doing blue spells or something in order to keep hate, then yeah, they could probably do everything Paladin does as a tank. As a DPS, they can probably out DPS everyone as well if they're geared for it. If they're geared well enough and they know what they're doing in the content, and the content is particularly weak to blunt damage, which would be your hand-to-hand weapon damage, then yeah, I would say Monk is a solid pick, but it's probably the last pick, just because Blue Mage can do everything else that is needed here, and then some. All right, in most cases, Blue Mage is just a better pick than Monk. Paladin's a better pick than Monk. Dragoon and Dark Knight would be better picks. I mean, everything seems to be a better pick than Monk, even Puppet Master, because at least they have a puppet that can actually basically do all of the stuff that Monk can't do, because Monk doesn't have a puppet in their pocket. All right, so Puppet Master is even better than Monk, and I hate Puppet Master. Are you serious? So yeah, I agree with this. Let's just pretend Monk's not even on this list. All right, but being 22nd best, yeah, I agree. I do agree. I think that it's one of the weakest jobs in the game because it's overlooked in every way possible all the time.
Ninja, Nin, -RP equals 3-EG equals 4-total 3.5, T19th best. Summary: Ninja has become a lower tier DD focused on survivability in a situational tank. The job is not easy for returning players to pick up due to the extensive gear required. However, Ninja can still shine in fights where shadows and damage mitigation are often important, such as ambuscade.
Okay, well, I'm not a ninja main, but I have a pretty decent 119 ninja, so I have a few things to say about it. Let's start in the first row really quick, okay? Because they did rank it 19th best, and I feel like that's not necessarily fair because it should be around the same ranking as Paladin because it's basically a Paladin. All right, same with Rune Fencer. They should all be around the same best on this list, and they're not. Okay, so why are they not? Well, returning player ranking it a 3. I mean, I don't know what that means. I mean, is there clarity at the top? Like, each ranking is on a scale, 10 being the best job, RP for returning player. Okay, so 10 being the best, or in this case, returning player the most looked after job, the most popular choice, I guess. I'm going to go with that because they were not very specific, and it irritates me that they were not specific enough. But when they say RP3, saying that 10 is the best at the top on each ranking scale being 1 to 10 scale, this tells me 100% that this means that 30% of the players coming back out of all of the players would go towards Ninja because it's a 3 out of 10. That's what that tells me. 10 would be the job that is so popular that all returning players should go to it for one reason or another. Okay? Okay, so 3 is fair then, because I feel like a lot of people don't go to Ninja when they come back. In game, Ninja being important, I can see it being low, but why is it a 4 instead of a 7 like Paladin? Why could it not be a 6 or something like that? You see what I mean? It should be right after Paladin, honestly, and it always has been, and that's what it feels like in my opinion as well. So they have a lower tier DD, which is kind of like Rune Fencer. They have the ability to do stuff like Red Mage with the ninjutsu wheels and stuff, so they can back tank quite easily. So there's a lot of things that they have that Paladin doesn't have, for example, that makes them just a little bit situationally better for certain content. So let's read the summary again. Ninja has become a lower tier DD. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with that. Focused on survivability and a situational. Okay, that annoys me a little bit. Survivability. What are they surviving from? You have a white mage in the party. Like what? Why would you even say that there, but not say that on Puppet Master or on Paladin? I mean. Or Puppet Master. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, this summary is just kind of shit, honestly. So yeah, I would downvote it as well, because some of these summaries are just really lacking, and he's trying to do all of the jobs and summarize all of the jobs, but he doesn't have the information, the accurate information he needs for all of the jobs. I think Ninja can be a really high tier DD, for example. I think it can out-tank Paladin in some cases, for example. I'm not a main ninja, but I've seen some insane ninjas in my day, and this summary doesn't do them justice. It just simply doesn't. Saying that this is the 19th best job? Best? 19th best? No. No. I'm sorry, but it's more like the 12th best, right after Paladin. That's what it is, in my opinion. It says here the job is not easy for returning players to pick up due to the extensive gear required. What? Ambuscade gear? Are you kidding me? Like, I mean, you could get all of the gear for Ninja in a few days. Like, it's not hard to get the gear for Ninja. It requires some ultimate weapons, 2 of them, which makes it twice as time-consuming, but it's not hard, okay? Ninja can shine, okay, in fights where shadows and damage mitigation are important, such as Ambuscade. Shout out to damage mitigation, okay? What is it called? Mikage? Mikage is a fucking broken ninjutsu spell, alright? I often use Arc HM because he is the most reliable ninja tank in the trust system. Him and Gesho. Gesho is my backup right now. Arc HM is insane. He definitely takes 0 from like every 1,000 needles ever. So if you're fighting a cactus in him, and he's like, 10,000 needles, kill everybody. Ninja's like, no bitch, not today, not today. Arc HM is just like, smackdown. I don't even care. He's fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. I wish all the ninjas in the game were like that, but you don't get enough of them, right? So play Ninja. It's a fun job. It's a great job, and if you time your Mikages perfectly, like HM does, because he's a bot, then you're basically gonna say, screw everything, I'll never die, basically. All right. Let's move on to one of my favorite jobs, Paladin. Let's see what they did with Paladin.
Paladin, PLD. -RP equals 4-EG equals 7-total 5.5, T11TH best. Summary: Paladin is a difficult job to begin gearing because many groups will want you to have the relic shield. The job is still useful and can tank most things, but it does lack versatility and often requires some sort of healer. It thrives at tanking several weaker enemies.
Okay, whatever, dude. You should have definitely come to Pwnsalot for a paladin summary. Okay, let's just erase this because this is all wrong, all fucking wrong. Okay, so the top part where it says 40% of the population would be comfortable returning to the game playing this. Okay, that's fair. I like that. That is a fair 4 out of 10 for that. End game, 70% of the in-game content requires a paladin. I would say that's about right because that's how I'm viewing those now. Since you weren't specific enough, that's how I'm going to view those. So yeah, 70% of the population requires of the content requires you to have a paladin. Okay, I agree. So the score, I would agree. One of the more not best, but one of the more popular choices for the metagame at the moment is Paladin. Summary: Paladin is a difficult job. No, it's not. Absolutely not. You get so much enmity, you don't even know what to do with it. You don't even have to provoke or do anything. You can just sit there and cure for yourself the entire time and sub white mage even, and it doesn't even matter. Like, it literally doesn't. People get mad at me when I sub white mage, but I'm like, why would I not sub white mage? White mage has refresh. I'm sorry, white mage has re-raise. White mage has all of these bar spells. White mage does all this stuff and more mana. And I'm a Taru paladin, okay? I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna run out of mana. I'm gonna have all the cure spells and Curaga spells now, by the way. And I'm just gonna sit here and cast Cure 4 on myself until I forever, because I'm never going to run out of MP. I'm just going to forever from now just infinite Cure 4s on myself. And what does that do? That is like infinite provokes on the target. That is exactly what that is. That is exactly fucking what that is. Why do people sub warrior when they could just infinitely Cure 4 spam themselves and do the same fucking shit that provoke does? What? What? Are you serious? Does it really take 15 years of playing Paladin for people to figure out that you don't need sub warrior on a tank? What? Oh my god, what are people even doing with their fucking time? Why would you play a game and say, like, oh, Paladin needs to sub warrior? Why? Why? Because of double attack? Because of defender? Multi-hit gear? Sentinel. No, and no. Because of berserk? Multi-hit gear. No, because of aggressor. Sword skill OP, especially with mythic done. Accuracy gear and food effect. No, nothing that warrior has is good for paladin. Nothing, nothing. There's nothing warrior has that's any good at all for paladin. If you're well at paladin, you don't need a sub job. You simply don't need a sub job. So you pick the sub job that is best for the content you're doing. If you're going to dynamis, especially dynamis divergence, you fucking sub white mage because you have re-raise and you can just simply keep re-raising and it won't matter. You don't need provoke for that content, dude. You're a paladin. Use flash. Use cure 4. Hello. Hello. You have sentinel. Fucking rampart. Like so many other ways to get hate. You don't need sub warrior. All right. So that is just one of the tangents I wanted to go on because I see so many people always saying you need warrior sub for this job and you just don't. You simply don't need warrior sub for paladin. That is ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. A difficult job to begin gearing? No, it's not. Hello, ambuscade gear will get you there, and other than that, you can just simply get the Sovereign set, normal quality or high quality. I would obviously recommend high quality. It's super good. And you could get the Omen body from the Artifact +3 body. And once you have those 5 pieces of gear, you're done. You're basically done. Finish your mythic weapon. And maybe get an Aegis. Maybe not in that order. And then you're done. You're fucking the best paladin in the world at that point. So it's not a difficult job to begin gearing. It's just money. It's money. All the sovereign pieces are millions of gil. When you get that done, then you're that much closer to being like a really high tier paladin that people are going to want. Many groups will want you to have a relic shield. Like, that's one of the cheapest things for you to buy, honestly. Honestly, the cheapest thing for you to get on your paladin is the relic shield done. Once you have Aegis, it's like, okay, you are a bit stronger, but you have enough gear at your disposal other than Aegis to compensate for not having Aegis. You can use Rampart smartly when you need it. When you actually need Rampart, you can press the button. As a paladin, I don't need Rampart for anything other than giving my party members a shield, magic shield, and also enmity, just to have hate. I use Rampart just to lock hate. Basically, it locks hate on me, alright? That, to me, is a relic shield, without having a relic shield, though, honestly. But because I have the relic shield, I rarely need to use Rampart in general. So because I have the Relic Shield, I've become a bit lazy, I guess. But my point is, without the Relic Shield, I can do all the content. Challenge me right now to do all of the content without a shield, and I will. Do you want to know why? Because lately, I've been doing all the content with the Greatsword anyway. I mean, I'm building a Khalid Bog for my Paladin, and I don't require a shield for that. But there are times where I will blink back into a shield because I'm getting my ass kicked. But there are also just as many times where I'm not getting my ass kicked and I don't have a shield. All right. So a lot of groups will want you to have the Relic Shield, but you can get by without the Relic Shield for a long time. Fun fact, as one of the best paladins in the game, I still don't have the other shield. The, what's it called? The Empyrean shield that you can get. I'm still working on that. I haven't even gotten it. O-Chain, that's what it's called, O-Chain. Yeah, I don't have an O-Chain. Okay. What does that mean? That means that I'm going to have trouble killing Kieran. That's basically what that means, because he spawns those ads that kick your ass. That's basically it. That's probably the one thing that I might have trouble with. There's just no reason really to get it. There's a few more reasons to get the Aegis done, the Relic Shield, but it's not mandatory. It's not. You can win the content just fine without the Relic Shield. You have a lot of native magic defense gear on your character, and you have a lot of job abilities and spells that allow you to take less damage from magic spells. Shell, Phalanx, Cure spells, Rampart. Like, there's so many things that you can do other than get an Aegis, and you can still be a really good paladin for your group. So I would have to say that this is wrong. But with that said, I would encourage you to get the gear for the job, which would include the Relic Shield. I would encourage that. But saying that you need it or the groups will want you to have it, I feel, and saying that it's a difficult job otherwise, I don't feel like that is accurate. You see? So the next statement that's made here, the Paladin job is still useful and can tank most things. Excuse me, it can tank all things. All things. Not most things, all things. I've tanked every content in this game with Paladin. Okay? So don't say that it can tank most things. It can tank everything. Okay? But it does lack versatility. That's also untrue, because I'll pull out a Greatsword and DPS, out DPS your group. No problem. I'll do it. Fucking watch me. All right. So it lacks versatility and often requires some sort of healer. You're your own healer as a paladin. So this whole statement is wrong right here. It's completely wrong. It's completely wrong. And I've already told you why it's completely wrong. But you don't require a healer as a paladin. You're your own healer. Okay. Ninjas require healers. They don't have magic. Rune fencers don't have cure spells. They have regen. They require healers. And they have one job ability that actually heals them, that they can use every minute or so. Paladin, though, out of all of the tanks in the game, Paladin has the most cure spells at its disposal, period. In fact, my Paladin has infinite cure spells. Infinite cure spells. So saying that they require some sort of healer is accurate is actually bogus. Absolutely bogus. It's not true. And saying that they lack versatility, If I can sub White Mage and get the shit done, that's versatile, dude. I'm versatile. So, and if I could switch to a Greatsword and out DPS your fucking DDs because they're all dying or whatever, that's versatile. We have 5 minutes left to kill the content, and I'm the only one still standing because I'm a paladin. Pull up the Greatsword. Start chucking away at its HP. That's versatility, motherfuckers! Are you serious? No. Absolutely wrong. Okay, and this says it thrives at tanking several weaker enemies because of O-Chain, I guess. I'm going to assume that that last statement is a reference to O-Chain, but you can still tank several weaker enemies without O-Chain. I mean, if you want, you could just sub Black Mage and do Sleepka, because you could just put your magic accuracy gear on and press the Sleepka button and just like sleep stuff, especially if there are quote-unquote several weaker enemies. They should all fall asleep, right? Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can deal with a lot of monsters in one situation, and you don't necessarily have to be on Paladin to handle that either. A lot of jobs can thrive at tanking several weaker enemies. Thief can. Thief can just press perfect dodge or put their evasion set on and sit there and watch everything miss them. That's several weaker enemies that you're tanking. Hello? Like, are you serious? So this summary just needs work. This summary should say, ask Pwnsalot. That's what it should say. So let's move on to the next one.
Puppet Master, pup-rp equals 6-eg equals 7-total 6.5, 8th best. Summary: Puppet Master is now all about the automaton. With hand-to-hand weapon skills being so poor, the job has shifted its focus to tanking. An automaton can tank many single target fights with no healing required. Overdrive is also one of the best 1-hour abilities in the game. Red Mage, RDM, -RP equals 6-EG equals 6-total 6, T9TH best. Summary: the versatility of Red Mage.
Oh, we got a little bit ahead of ourselves on that one. Okay, so let's pause it here before we get to Red Mage and talk about the Puppet Master summary. Now, honestly, Puppet Master is one of the jobs that I play the least, but I've actually partied with quite a few Puppet Masters in my day, and so I know a thing or two about this job. And I would like to mention that this summary is accurate. This is an actual accurate summary of Puppet Master. There is no reason for me to think that any of this information is bogus. I agree that Overdrive is also one of the best 1-hour abilities in the game. I agree that the automaton can take many single target fights with no healing required. I agree that the puppets basically never die. I agree that the job has focused to tanking, because Puppet Master tanks are a thing. The one gripe I have about Puppet Master tanks, not this post, but Puppet Master tanks in general, is that the puppet will actually fuck up your skill chain combo if you're not careful. So you have to wait for the puppet to use his TP before you use your skill chain combo. So it's kind of on you to do that as a player, because the bot is just going to skill chain when it wants to, okay? But it has to wait for itself to get TP. So that's the workaround. Basically, if you're trying to skill chain with a Puppet Master tank, just wait for the Puppet Master tank to waste his TP, and then you're good. And then you can carry on, okay? And what else does this guy say about Puppet Master? Puppet Master is now all about the automaton with hand-to-hand weapon skills being so poor. I agree with that. I agree with all of this, dude. This is just really solid summary of Puppet Master. Saying that it is the 8th best, I think, is an insult to this ninja that you ranked up here at 19, but honestly, I mean, I feel like Puppet Master is more popular than Ninja in most cases, and that is very sad for the ninja in particular, but I'm excited for the Puppet Master, honestly, because I'm really excited to see the metagame shift in this direction with Puppet Masters being so popular now suddenly. It's just a really strong job in general, and it's capable of some amazing feats. The Puppet Master really just has to worry about timing. What I've noticed is that the majority of the time they lose content is because they timed out of it, and that's because they're tanking with their Puppet Master and they don't have enough DPS with themselves in order to actually win the content. So it would be the equivalent of just having a paladin try to solo all the content. They would time out of a lot of it, right? So that's just a fact of life. So let's move on to Red Mage now. I was just really excited to see how accurate that Puppet Master summary was.
Red Mage, RDM, -RP equals 6-EG equals 6-total 6, T9TH best. Summary: the versatility of Red Mage makes it easy to find a role in many groups. It can enfeeble enemies to reduce evasion and increase skill chain damage while helping to heal and restore MP. It's a gear-intensive job, but there's a demand, be it one per party/alliance.
Alright, I like that summary. I feel like it's a little bit of a weak summary, but it was supposed to be 50 words or less, okay? So it is 50 words or less, and those are pretty good 50 words to choose from to actually describe Red Mage. So I can't really gripe about this summary that much. I would say that the returning players playing Red Mage, that's accurate. I maybe would bump that down to a 5 though, because it seems like Red Mage is only a 6 because it's one of the original 6 jobs, so it's a more popular choice only because other choices haven't been unlocked yet on those characters that are returning to the game. That's probably the only reason it's up there as a higher number for the returning player. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. I just don't see a lot of new Red Mages coming back to the game, honestly. Okay? End-game content as a 6, that is a little bit low, honestly. I think it should be a 7 or an 8, only because things like Maju require you to have blind and really high enfeebling skill, which Red Mage is good at. And there's just a lot of content in the game that requires you to land things like Distract and Frazzle and all this. And when you've done the content enough times, and then you add a Red Mage to your party to do that same content, you will immediately notice a difference. That has always been true. Every time I've done any content in this game, after I realized that I could invite a really strong Red Mage to my party to get the content done, I realized how much easier the content had become as a result. That is because the Red Mage is really strong at enhancing and enfeebling magic and healing magic. And so basically, and nuking magic, they can do everything, alright? Jack of all trades. Master of all of them, alright? Period. Done. Master of all of them. Especially enfeebling, alright? So red mage is just really strong. I've seen red mages do insane shit like solo Maju. I've seen red mages do insane shit like blind Maju. I've seen red mages out DPS people on Warrior Courage. I've seen red mages solo very difficult intense ambuscades. I've seen red mages solo very difficult avatar battles, like the avatars that one shot you with their stupid ass spells. No, red mages don't care. Red mages are really, really strong in general, especially if they're geared for that content. And what's interesting about red mage, what I like the most by far about red mage, is how much gear they have at their disposal to make themselves geared for any particular content. So when he says the versatility of red mage makes it easy to find a role in many groups, that is 100% true. That could not be any more true. Red Mage is one of the most versatile jobs in the game, and it was very, very, very easy to find a role in any group as any position. You want to be the magic burster, you want to be the skill chain maker, you want to be the healer, you want to be anything you want, you can be as the Red Mage, and that's insane that it's that easy to play this job. So yeah, I definitely would rank it higher than ninth, but at least it's not 19th like Ninja. So this next statement that they say it can enfeeble enemies to reduce evasion, among other things, which they leave out, and increase skill chain damage, which they would use their damn, what's it called? I don't remember the name of the spell now, but there's a spell that increases skill chain damage that they can spam, and so that's probably why it says right there increase skill chain damage. They were referring to that one spell that Red Mage gets that no one else seems to get. And it can help heal and restore MP. I mean, yeah, a lot of jobs can do all that, but I mean, I guess it's worth mentioning. You could have written that sentence a bit better, I think, and make it more unique to Red Mage. So this last sentence says it's a gear-intensive job, but there's a demand, be it one per party or alliance or whatever. Yeah, okay. I mean, I would agree that is a gear-intense job. I don't know how I feel about saying that there's a demand, but there is some kind of a demand. Maybe not a really high demand for red mages, but there is a demand depending on the content for red mage, because you need to have access to some of the spells that they get or some of the magic accuracy that they have. So it's just a really popular choice. It's an easy job to actually prepare. If you're coming back to the game, it's quite easy to figure out what all gear you need for this job, and most of it, even though there's a long list, most of it is hella easy to get. I've spent years collecting red mage gear, and I can usually get any piece of gear for red mage within one day, one sitting. I can sit down one day and put a list of things together that I want to work on, and every single time I'll have that list completed by the time I'm ready to log out of the game. So yeah, there's a lot of gear for red mage, but it's not difficult content to get this gear. So I would recommend this job to players, definitely. I would say definitely pick up the gear, but it is a lot of gear, so much gear, okay? So much gear. It's more gear than Paladin. I'm actually trying to not get more gear on my red mage than I have on my paladin, and I've reached that point where I'm actually tied. Like, I have just as many pieces of red mage stuff as I do of paladin stuff, and I refuse to pick up more red mage stuff because I don't want my inventory to be like so much more red mage and so little paladin. Considering I have a Burt gang, I should have, I should be a paladin main. So that's my argument, but that's just me, and I don't want to go on a me tangent. So let's just agree that this summary is actually pretty basic, but it is accurate enough to actually do red mage a little bit of justice, and so I like it. I do like it. Let's move on to ranger.
Ranger, RNG, -RP equals 4-EG equals 6-total 5, T14th best. Summary Ranger is about doing damage while staying out of AoE range and managing your enmity. It doesn't gain TP as fast as other jobs, but it does well at closing skill chains. It's an expensive job to gear up and works best in strategies with other ranged attackers.
Alright, well, let me just go out on a limb here and say that I was kind of turned off when it said, when the summary said that it doesn't gain TP as fast as other jobs. That is not a fair statement to make, because there are not enough ranger burns out there for you to actually have the information that you need to say that it does actually in fact gain TP just as fast as other jobs, because it simply does. Rangers use axes and daggers, both of which have a really low TP gain, but really low delay to compensate for that, so they can actually melee things, but typically they don't. Typically they build their axes and or daggers to actually have ranged accuracy so they can shoot things. So they are shooting at a certain speed with a certain delay, which typically means that, yeah, they probably will be slower at gaining TP. But you want to know why that is? That's because nobody put any buffs on them to help them actually shoot faster. There are buffs in this game that help you shoot faster that you could simply do. Bard has one, a song that they can sing for. I think it's Archer's Prelude. Yeah, Archers and Hunters Prelude for ranged attackers, which would help their DPS and their TP gain right there. Didn't mention that in this article. You should have, because you obviously, it tells me that you don't know what you're talking about. If you don't say that there are things like Prelude in the game that can help this, then obviously you don't know what you're talking about. All right. And the other thing that helps TP gain on ranged attackers, you have Courser's Roll for Corsair that you could put on. Courser's Roll increases your decreases your delay so you can shoot faster. It's like a snapshot kind of thing, right? Rapid shot or whatever. You have Samurai Roll, which allows you to get more TP back per hit. You have store TP gear that you could equip, or food effects that you could ingest that would give you extra store TP, which means every time you actually use a ranged attack or a melee attack, you get more TP back off of it. So saying that it doesn't gain TP as fast as other jobs, that is a stupid statement, if ever I saw one. Only because the amount of TP gained per job, per swing, per job, whatever, is basically going to directly relate to the buffs that player has access to. If the player has more buffs, they will gain more TP. And there is plenty of buffs in this game to make Ranger a very fast TP gaining job to actually just do whatever the hell they want with any of their weapon skills and spam them as they must. Basically, whatever. Like, I'm a bit weirded out. I'm not a Ranger main, but I'm a bit weirded out about some of this because it tells me that the person who wrote it doesn't really have a working knowledge of all the buffs in the game that can help the Ranger deal more damage and get more TP. All right. So the score, I would say that the score is about accurate. I mean, give or take, I would say that that's a fair, accurate assessment of how popular the job is. Doing damage, Ranger is DPS, so I would say that that's accurate. Staying out of AoE range is quite easy when you're using a gun or a bow or a crossbow or whatever. Managing enmity is also pretty easy on Ranger. You have a lot of abilities to lower your enmity, and your party can also take it from you as well. And the TP gain is probably the only one big one that I don't like this statement at all. And an expensive job to gear up, yeah. Ranger is all about throwing money at your enemy because you have to buy bullets, you have to buy gear that helps you shoot more bullets. If you have a gun that produces its own bullets, or you have a bow that produces its own bolts or arrows, then in that case you have to actually farm that gun, that weapon, in order to get that. But other than that, you're actually buying a lot of these bullets and these arrows for a long time, and it adds up, and it will add up, and you will spend millions and millions of gil on this job without even knowing it, just like Corsair. And it is quite a strong DPS in general. It does work best in strategies with other ranged attackers, but also it just simply works best at skill chaining. If you just want a skill chain done, get a Ranger with the Gastrophetes. That's the mythic crossbow that the Ranger gets. It's an amazing weapon, and it does so much damage. So much damage, you guys. It's insane how much damage it does. Really love that weapon, actually. One of the best jobs that I can bring to Omen for certain content is Ranger, because it has Gastrophetes. So yeah, and I don't use other range attackers. It's just the one Ranger. So you could put a Ranger burn together and say that, you know, now we're gearing towards Ranger burn, so we're going to have the buffs on our Rangers that help the Ranger burn work a little bit better, and so maybe that will help us with the TP gain and all that crap. But there's just other ways to play Ranger that they're not considering in these 50 words in this one summary. So I don't want to talk too much more about it. Those are just my thoughts about Ranger. Let's move on to Rune Fencer, another one of the jobs I play a good amount.
Rune Fencer, run, -RP equals 6-EG equals 8-total 7, T3RD best. Summary: the easiest tank job for returning players to gear. Run can also DD well in certain scenarios. Its Ionic weapon is essential to DD as it's the best weapon in the game. Some people think its certain weapon is situational and not optimal for magic-heavy enemies.
Okay, I do like that summary. I agree with the Ionic weapon being quote-unquote the best weapon in the game. It might not be actually the best weapon in the game, but I think it is the best Ionic in the game. It was the first Ionic that I got, so because it's the first Ionic that I got, I'm going to have to just continue to agree that it was the best weapon in the Aeonic series. Typically, the way that I like to play MMOs in general is I like to get the most popular choices from all of these quest lines when I'm farming weapons. I like to get the most popular choice, and so one of the most popular relics I got was the Yallarhorn for Bard in the Aegis for Paladin. Those are two of my very first relics. I got them hella early, and they are still my favorite relics, and I would highly recommend everyone get one. So, in my opinion, in the relic quest line, those are the best relics. All right. In the Aeonic quest line, though, the first one I got was the Runefencer Lionheart, and that's because I feel like it's the most popular and strongest choice out of all of them, and so that's the one I went with. And I still don't regret that choice. I still think it was one of, if not the strongest Aeonic weapon in the whole game. All right. So when he says it's the best weapon in the game, you really need to say it's the best Aeonic weapon in the game, because you're saying that it's better than Burtgang, and I don't agree with that. Burtgang is one of my, or Death Penalty. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just depends on the content whether or not it's the best weapon. It's situational. Okay, all of these are situational. So best Aeonic weapon, possibly. Possibly, but this is an opinion. When you use the word best, it's always going to be an opinion. And my opinion is that it's not the best weapon in the game, but it is the best Aeonic in the game. That's my opinion. My take on this. As far as the score on this guy, I'd say that that's a fair score. I think that returning players probably shouldn't pick up Runefencer because it is difficult to gear, and it takes a while to get there. You also need an E tier, which requires you to actually have a scintillating Rhapsody and talk to Obero in Port Juno to get the E tier done. And once you have the E tier, you actually have pretty good Runefencer, but in order to get it, you have to have the scintillating Rhapsody and all this other stuff, and the prerequisites to get all that is insane. It takes a long time, so a returning player can't actually do it. They can't complete the Aeonic weapon, they can't get the E tier from the Obero weapon series. They just simply can't play the job then, right? They can't get any of the gear they need as a returning player. So I think that's a bit high for a returning player score, honestly. Saying it's the third best job in the game is kind of biased opinion, I think. I don't think it's the third best job in the game. It's tied for third with Bard and some of these other ones at the top, but I don't think that that's right. It is a popular choice for end game, which is why I think that the 8 here is actually pretty accurate. I would even say a 9 on the end game. I mean, or an 8.5 or something. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty strong. But they say it's the easiest tank job for returning players to gear. I don't agree with that. I really don't. There's a lot of gear needed to make this job any good, and I feel like you could play Paladin and tank much easier on all of the content with just the Sovereign set, and you can just buy that. You can simply buy all those pieces, or you could buy the Arc equivalents, which are the Superior 3. I think they're Superior 2 or Superior 3. The Superior gear that you can get from Auction House, you could simply buy that. Or you can get a Balgis ticket or whatever it is, and then upgrade the Sovereign set from the auction house as well. The cursed gear, you can uncurse it, make the Sovereign set that way. Getting the papers to do that from Esha and Rizumjima is hella easy. I think it's all Esha actually, so it's hella easy to do this. And yeah, it's highly recommended, and it's much easier to get than a lot of the Runefencer gear that you have to get. A lot of this is JSE as well. Paladin doesn't really require any JSE gear, so you don't have to even quest any of that. So saying this is the easiest tank job is not really that accurate. And it can DD well in certain scenarios. I will agree with that because of the Aeonic weapon. I will agree with this statement about the essential Aeonic weapon being essential to Runefencer as a DD because it's a strong weapon. I will agree with that. And some people think the Ergon weapon is situational and not optimal for magic heavy enemies. I mean, if that's what you feel like after actually playing with the Ergon weapon, then sure, throw that on there as what some people think, and I will agree with it because A, I don't have it to test for myself, and B, I'm sure that these people actually tested this before, so there's really no reason to argue with this last statement. I'm just going to go ahead and say that that's probably accurate, but a lot of people that play Rune probably don't even have this Ergon weapon. They probably just use the E tier and the Lionheart and call it a day, and that's probably fine for a lot of players. So let's move on to Samurai.
Samurai, Sam, -RP equals 3-EG equals 6- total 4.5, T17TH best. Summary: Samurai can do solid damage but requires excellent gear and either the Empyrean or Aeonic weapon to really shine in endgame fights. It's the best skill chain partner in the game most of the time, but with so many 1 and 2 hit weapon skills missing them is frustrating.
Okay. Well, you know you get abilities like Overwhelm overwhelm, I think it's called. Basically, abilities that allow you to attack multiple times depending on the direction you're facing versus the monster, and depending on other situations like whether or not the monster hit you or whether or not you missed the attack on the monster. You have things that you can do. What is it? Zenshin, I think. Zanshin is what I think. If I recall correctly, Zanshin is the ability to actually attack again after missing your first swing. So this last statement here, where they're basically saying like missing your weapon skills is frustrating. Well, you need weapon skill accuracy gear first off, but secondly, if you miss an attack in Zanshin procs, you're going to hit on the second swing anyway. It's just the instant extra swing you get access to because you're playing Samurai. So like Samurai is one of the better jobs to play to actually guarantee you don't miss with your weapon skills, because you're going to actually swing. If you do actually miss your attack, you swing again for free because you're a Samurai and that's what you do. All right. So the weapon skill actually missing, that's basically your weapon skill set right there, dude. That is what that is. Because I don't see very many samurais missing. Honestly, I really don't. You just need a gear for it. You really just need a gear for it. Weapon skill accuracy gear and or regular accuracy gear and or weapon skill damage gear and just raw stats in general, and you'll probably get there, okay? Returning players being a 3, that's kind of low, but I can see why it's low because you do require an ultimate great katana in order to play the job. But I think it's too low, honestly. End game content is also too low. I think that this needs to be a 7 or an 8, only because Samurai is used in Omen quite often, actually, and Samurai is used in a lot of ambuscade content. I don't see it used that often in like Aeonic progression, but I see it in Dynamis Divergence. So there's a lot of in-game content you can do with a Samurai. So it's a bit too low for me and for my taste. The 17th best is also kind of a slap in the face to all the Samurai mains out there, honestly. So you need to really consider redoing this one, for sure. And Samurai doing solid damage requiring excellent gear. I will agree with. Obviously, gear equals damage. Okay, so that's a fair statement. Empyrean or Aeonic weapon, yeah, you can just get the Aeonic and call it a day, honestly. It's quite easy to do that. And then you just basically be a top tier samurai forever. Really, really strong in Omen, by the way. Best skill chain partner in the game. It's the best skill chain partner in the game most of the time. But with so many, okay, I don't know about that last one. We already talked about it. I feel like you just need the gear to get there. And it might be frustrating, but this game is a frustrating game in general. And people's synopses of this game are also quite frustrating to read, by the way, if you haven't noticed already. So let's move on to the Scholar. I like the Scholar. Let's talk about Scholar.
Scholar, SCH-RP equals 5-EG equals 6-total 5.5, T11TH best. Summary: Scholar was once a hot job because it can create skill chains on the spot from a distance. However, since the Geo nerf and BRD buff, demand has declined. It can still also main heal if needed and can solo well, making it a good job for returning players.
Okay, well, how do I feel about that? I feel like it's accurate to a degree, but my biggest gripe is not so much the returning player score of a 5 and the in-game player score of a 6. I think this might need to be a 7 or an 8 because it is in-game viable. Actually, probably a 9, honestly. That is pretty low. But my biggest gripe is that they're mentioning the Geo nerf and Bard buff, the demand being in decline for Scholar. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that one has anything to do with the other. No matter what the buff or nerf was on Geo or Bard, irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. The simple fact is Scholar can still do everything that it did before that happened, before that nerf and buff happened, and it since that's the case, one has nothing to do with the other. There is no declination of demand for Scholar. You're nuts if you think people still don't want Scholars in their parties for like everything imaginable. Scholar is so good in all end-game content. This honestly should be a 10. Honestly, let's just make it a 10. Scholar is an insane job in the end game. It can solo things that you probably don't even believe. If I told you that it can solo, you would be like, that's not true. And it can. It just can. Scholar is one of the strongest jobs in the game. One of the strongest solo jobs in the game. One of the strongest jobs in general in the game. If I had to pick one of the top strongest jobs in the game, I would probably have Scholar at the top of the list somewhere. Scholar is just It wasn't once a hot job. It's always been a hot job, dude. It can do so many things that you just didn't think that jobs in this game were capable of doing. You need everything slept without Sleepka. Scholar can do it with stratagems. You need everyone buffed with a fucking SP. Scholar can do that too. Accession, you would do accession and you would do your SP, which was not Kostra, but the other one, the light arts one. You get the idea. Basically, basically, Scholar's busted. Scholar can do so many crazy things. Okay. I don't think there's much else to say. This is a fair description, other than the fact that the demand declining is mentioned here. I feel like that middle sentence can change. Also, who starts a sentence off with however anyway? Come on. That means that this sentence has something to do with the previous sentence. That's what that means. That's what the word however is used for. First off, it's used after a semicolon or a comma in typical cases, or a hyphen. And secondly, it's also just added on to the sentence that comes before it. Like grammatically speaking, that's what however means. But saying that the demand of Scholar has declined after having mentioned the Scholar is a hot job and can skill chain from a distance, I mean, maybe that's a stretch though. Scholar was once a hot job, however the demand has declined, I guess. It's just really awkward putting all that together. I don't like it. I think you can do better. I think there could be a better summary for Scholar. Okay. And it can main heal if needed. Yeah, I agree. Can solo well. Great. It can solo great. That's what that should say. Making it a good job for returning players. And also for every player in general. Scholar's just a really busted job. It's so unfair how strong this job is. But anyway, let's move over to Summoner. Because before I do that, let me mention one last thing. Scholar really doesn't require very many gear choices either. So if your inventory is hurting, you can probably still play this job, because you really don't need much gear to play this job. It's all about spells, and spells don't take up inventory space once they've been used. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that really quick. So let's talk about the next job on the list.
Summoner, SMN, -RP equals 6-EG equals 8-total 7, T3RD best. Summary: the king of the fast fight thanks to its overpowered 1-hour, Astral Conduit, SMN has been a bandwagon job lately. All things considered, it is still a good job with its versatility to buff the party and still do damage from a distance. It's also not horrible to gear.
Okay, alright. Real quick, I know there's a lot of people that actually play Summoner that watch these videos, so don't attack me when I make these comments, but I will correct these comments a little bit, because I do agree with most of this, but there are minor exceptions. First off, saying that it's also tied for third best like everything else, including Warrior, what, question mark, is kind of a mistake. I feel like Summoner is probably one of the best jobs, if not the best jobs in the game. For in-game content, I think that it should be tied with Scholar, so they should both be 8s in that case, because they're just as important as each other. In fact, Scholar complements Summoner quite well, because while Summoner is using Astral Conduit, Scholar can be actually soloing a skill chain to make the magic burst damage happen, which is just that much better for your party, right? So they should be tied, and they're not, so that's a problem. Returning player should also probably be tied with the Scholar, if not lower than Scholar, because yeah, Summoner is in high demand, so people are pressured into playing this job, but most people don't just pick up the game and be like, I wish I had played a Summoner. They don't just pick up Final Fantasy XI for the first or second or third time and come back to the game after an 8-year break and say, oh man, I would sure as hell love to play Summoner. No, it's probably like, man, I can't wait to just try out this Paladin class, or this new Scholar class, or this new Rinfencer class, or Geomancer class, or like mad hype for the new classes that got added to the game after I quit. You see what I'm saying? Summoner's not the first thing that pops in your mind, so why would it be higher than things like Scholar and Samurai when it's not even really in your mind when you pick this game back up? Like, that's not the job you think of. You think of this job when you look at Yell Chat and everyone's asking for Summoner burns. That's when you think of this job. So don't even tell me that you're returning to the game thinking you want to play Summoner. That's ridiculous. Alright? And the king of fast fights, thanks to its overpowered 1-hour Astral Conduit, I mean, Beastmaster has Unleash, it's the same exact thing, exactly the same thing. So saying that it's the king of the fast fights because of that, dude, that's not true. That's just metagame. People don't do Unleash burns. They do Astral Conduit burns. Alright? But it's the same fucking thing, honestly. Okay? Summoner is a bandwagon job as a result, sure. All things considered, is still a good job with its versatility to buff the party. I agree. and do damage from a distance. Also agree. Also not horrible to gear. Disagree. Absolutely disagree. This job is very horrible to gear, and I will tell you why this job is horrible to gear. Because all of the gear that this job wears is pretty much exclusive to Summoner. All of the gear that you're required to get to play Summoner at level 150 for 150 content, it's all Summoner exclusive. Like, you can't put it on other jobs. So in that sense, it's the most horrible job to gear, because if you're trying to play all the jobs in the game at the same time, which I am, yeah, hello, like, this is a horrible gear choice, because you have to put all of this Summoner gear in your inventory and you can't use it for anything other than Summoner. Like, that's so lame. That's so lame. I can't tell you how lame that is. All right. Other than that, that's my biggest gripe, honestly. And it's kind of sad that that's my biggest gripe, that I'm really just complaining about how all of the horrible things that you have to do to gear your summoner are basically just putting up with the inventory minus of all the summoner specific gear that you have access to. Like, that's it. But yeah, okay. So let's move on to Thief. That's a pretty fair summoner summary, I guess.
Thief, THF, -RP equals 3-EG equals 4-total 3.5, T19TH best. Summary: everyone has leveled Thief for Treasure Hunter, but unless geared extremely well it doesn't do the best in groups. It's a spike damage job that can close skill chains well when it has its job abilities up. If they are down, Thieves see a sharp decline in their damage. Warrior, War,
Alright, so hopefully I wasn't muted when I did the summoner talk, because I checked my mic and it was blinking again. But I'm sure I wasn't muted, but I agree with the summoner stuff. But we're on the Thief now. So let's actually talk about the Thief really quick. I am a main Thief. I have a Master Thief. My Thief is really strong. I have a Twashtar and an Aeneas in progress. And once completed, I will have the best daggers for Thief available. That also is including Vajra, which I don't have and I have no interest in getting, simply because Aeonics were introduced to the game. I feel sorry for those of you who built a Vajra before the Aeonic series was released, because honestly, I feel like Vajra is second rate to Aeneas, which means that you might as well just not build it, because your offhand is going to be a Twashtar anyway, because of the dex and such on it, and the accuracy that it has. So you're going to offhand a Twashtar, you're going to mainhand an Aeneas, and that is going to be your metagame for every Thief ever in 2018, okay? And since that is the case, you really don't need any other daggers beyond those two. Obviously, you're going to have your 119 Sinister Rain dagger, which is your Taming Sari, up to the point where you actually get your ultimate weapons done, and then you're not going to use the Taming Sari ever again, except for on jobs like Bard or Dancer, which you can also equip, okay? Other than that, let's look at the score that this Reddit article gave Thief, and let's complain about it, because I'm probably one of the best players to talk to in regarding information for Thief. I have all the JSEs for Thief done. I have a lot of the +3 gear completed on Thief. I have done all of the content in the game imaginable on Thief, and I have the ultimates for Thief. Like, and I'm a Master Thief. There's really no one better to talk to. Maybe Lady of Honor, maybe. But I think he bought that account, honestly. Anyway, let's talk about Thief and why I feel like this is wrong. Returning player, having a 3? No, that needs to be a 10. Returning player, Thief is one of the jobs everyone returns to the game, gears up, and plays, period. Look at everyone on the game. Go into any server on Final Fantasy XI. Talk to anyone on Final Fantasy XI. Ask them if they've leveled Thief. They're going to say yes 99% of the time. Guaranteed. Guaranteed 99% of the time they're going to say yes, I leveled and geared Thief. Okay? So you return to the game at some point, right? Sure. You leveled and geared Thief at some point, right? Yes! So why the fuck is this a 3? No! This should be a 9.9, dude! Are you serious? Like, come the fuck on, alright? So everyone returns to the game and plays this job, so this is wrong. Saying that it's the 19th best as a result of your math, based on these really bad values you gave, like, that you started with, obviously your answer is going to be shit if your fucking, all of the steps leading up to that answer were shit, which they are. Yeah, you see, like, that's dumb. In-game being a 4, that's pathetic. That's too low. Everyone uses Thieves in in-game content. Thief is a DPS in in-game content. It has trick attack. It can trick attack anyone it wants. It can move in midi off of anybody and place it on anybody else. It's a utility job. So since it's a utility job, it needs to be in end-game parties, dude. Thief is an amazing job. An amazing job. It has Treasure Hunter 8 basic, and it could go all the way up to Treasure Hunter 14 maximum as a Master Thief. Okay? Getting to Treasure Hunter 14 is really difficult. Starting the fight with Treasure Hunter 8 is easy if you have the gear for it. It's easy. And then raising it from 8 to 14 is a challenge. The more thieves you have in the party, the easier it is to get to Treasure Hunter 14. But is that ever relevant? Hell yes it is. Typically I like to have Treasure Hunter 11 or 12 before I finish killing the monster. And then I seem to see like about the same as if it was Treasure Hunter 13 or 14. So anything above Treasure Hunter 10 is exciting for me. The loot is great. Loot is what you're fighting the content for. You're playing a job that gives you the ability to get extra loot because they keep re-rolling and re-rolling the treasure hunter pool, the treasure pool until the loot finally drops. That's what they do. They're like, oh, your boss wasn't dropping the loot? Well, let me do another dice roll and see if we can get the loot to drop again. Oh, it missed again? Oh, well, I mean, I have 7 other rolls, so, or 10 other rolls, or 12 other rolls, so I'm just going to keep re-rolling until I finally get this loot to drop. Are we going to have to kill the boss a second time? I don't know, man. Let's wait till all these rolls are finished. You see what I'm saying? Like, end-game content is all about gear, getting it and using it, and Thief has all of that. These should be 10s. This should be the first game. This should be the best job in the game, honestly. Is it the best job for all content? No. But is it the most popular job in the game? Yes. Other than Blue Mage, I think Blue and Thief are tied for most popular choices in the game. Just because of what they can do. And you're even saying in the summary, everyone has leveled Thief for Treasure Hunter, but yet you're scoring it so low? What? No. That's ridiculous. Okay. So, let's read the summary again together, and let's gripe about how wrong it is, because I feel like it's completely wrong. Everyone has leveled Thief for Treasure Hunter. True. But unless geared extremely well, it doesn't do Thief, not Treasure Hunter. See, this is why you don't use the word it. Unless geared extremely well, Thief doesn't do the best in groups. That is true, but I guess that's true for any job. Unless geared extremely well, Samurai doesn't do the best in groups. Unless geared extremely well, Paladin doesn't do the best in groups. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter what job it is. It's the same statement that you could say on every one of these. If you're not geared, you can't do the best in the group because everyone else is probably geared better than you. Okay, obviously. All right, that's a stupid statement to put here. It's a spike damage job. Not true. It's a DPS, damage per second, not spike damage job. You're talking about sneak attack and trick attack, and I'm arguing that you're wrong. It's a spike damage job class that can close skill chains well when it has its job abilities up. It can close skill chains well, period. If they are down, thieves see a sharp decline in their damage. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. This is all wrong. Listen, guys. Sneak attack and trick attack are not on a very long cooldown time. They're not. It's like a minute or less. I don't know if it can get less, probably. I don't even remember what mine is. I think I merited sneak attack and trick attack to be a little bit lower, so I could use them more often. If I'm not mistaken, you can do that with merits. And I did do that with sneak attack at least, I'm pretty sure. But my point being is that when these job abilities are on cooldown, sure, you don't see 60,000 damage on a Rudra Storm, for example, or 99,000 damage on a Rudra Storm, for example. But that's fine, because you just wait 30 more seconds and you can do it again, and like you can see that damage again. So when the job abilities are down, I don't know which job abilities you're referring to. I'm assuming you're looking at Thief, Sub, Warrior, and you're looking at Berserk and Aggressor as job abilities that would be down. And in that case, you would see a decline in your damage. But Berserk and Aggressor usually last almost the entire duration anyway. So it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to like make the argument that Thieves would see a sharp decline in their damage when their job abilities are on cooldown because the buffs are still active. So this doesn't make any sense. I think this last part doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, leave a comment if you have a better idea, but as far as I'm reading this, I'm disagreeing with it. I'm disagreeing with all of this. Everything here, except for everyone has leveled Thief for Treasure Hunter, and for Flea. You also need to add Flea there. I leveled Thief for Treasure Hunter and for Flea because I needed to make money and I needed to get places. That's why I leveled Thief. And then I geared it. Everything else that's added to this, might as well just cross it all out and just say everyone has leveled Thief for Treasure Hunter, period, and into summary there. I mean, come on, guys. This is a really bad summary for this job. How do you not see that? How do you not see that? It's not saying that it's a spike damage job is wrong because you just keep spamming Rudra Storm with or without sneak attack. There's no spikes, dude. You're gonna stay spiked. You're gonna stay at the top of the fucking DPS chart for the whole fucking content because you're a badass thief. At least that's how I feel about me. All right. So spike damage, no. Period damage, infinite damage all the time. Okay. Closing skill chains, that's standard. I close my own skill chains, fool. I open and close the skill chain. Rudras. Evisceration, Rudras. Rudras. Get on me, dude. Come on. What is this? I'll just cross all this out. This is all wrong. Let's move on. I'm getting salty at this stupid shit. Let's do Warrior next.
Warrior, War, -RP equals 6-EG equals 8-total 7, T3RD best, summary with good buffers, Warrior is one of the better damage dealing jobs in the game. Warcry affects the entire party and is the best melee job ability hands down. Mighty Strikes is also one of the best melee 1-hour abilities. Fully gearing the job is expensive and takes time.
Okay, I like that summary. I really do. I don't think Warrior is as popular as they're saying, like end game and all this, but like for melee burns, you could definitely kill stuff with Warrior Mighty Strikes. I feel like we have a pretty good solid strategy for one of the Reason GMA helms called Vinipada. And with Vinipada, and I'm sure with other ones as well, with Vinipada, it seems like if you used a greatsword, a really good greatsword, and you used Warrior Mighty Strikes, you're probably going to do more damage than a Summoner Burn has access to. From what I've seen, it's like double the damage that the Summoner would do if you're playing the Warrior with Mighty Strikes with the Greatsword against that particular boss. So that's just one example I can give about how they're right. When they say Warrior is one of the better damage dealing jobs, Mighty Strikes is one of the best melee 1-hours. Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with all that. I also think that this is a dumb statement to make with good buffers. Obviously, you require buffs to be better at dealing damage than you normally are. So, I mean, that's a no-brainer right there, that one statement right there. But for the most of this, I do agree. I do agree with the most of this. And fully gearing the job is expensive and takes time. I feel like it's actually cheaper to gear this job than it is to gear other jobs. Also, some of the pieces of gear that you buy, well, most of the pieces of gear that you get for Warrior can be used on other jobs as well. So it's multi-purpose gear, and that really helps your inventory space in this game. So I would highly recommend playing a job like this if you played any of the other jobs that are listed on the equipment that you're using on the Warrior, then you might as well play all of them and use that equipment on all those jobs because it will save you inventory space, which is precious in this game. Take it from me.
White Mage, WHM, -RP equals 9-EG equals 9-total 9, first, summary with the game becoming more melee friendly, White Mages are back in demand in a major way. Easy to gear, it's a fantastic job for returning players. If you're patient and dedicated enough to build a Yagrush, expect groups to fawn over you. The weapon can make or break fights. Scores for easy comparison.
Okay. Alright, so I feel like that last statement about the Yagrush applies to just about every ultimate weapon in the game. People will fawn over you if you have the stuff that they can't find. If they can't find someone that has an Idris and you have an Idris, they're going to fawn over you. Generally speaking, that's going to be what happens. If you have the Yagrush and they need a Yagrush for the fight and they can't find one and you're the only one with a Yagrush that's online, they're going to fawn over you. Expect that. It's the same with everything in the game. I have a Burt Gang in an Aegis. People fawn over me when they need a tank. I'll pull out my Paladin. Usually try to avoid doing that because I want to play other jobs, but I'll typically pull out my mythic weapons if needed. As needed, I'll pull out these things, right? So that's true for all ultimates, not just Yagrush. Yagrush is an insane mythic weapon. it has some pretty good potential, and I would recommend that people get this. Um, we don't have enough Yagrushes on the game anyway. Like in the general player population, we need more Yagrushes. So I would highly recommend people buy this, build this particular club. Giving the score of first place to White Mage is kind of weird, honestly. I like that they did that. I think that's quite a spicy decision to end the list with the first place White Mage. Like, you waited until you got to the end of the list to the W's to get to the very last job, alphabetically speaking, and it actually happens to take first. That's pretty spicy and bold of this author. But I will say that he's probably overestimating this job in some way. Giving it a 9 for both returning player and in-game is a bit weird, considering you don't need white mages for most of the in-game content, and you also don't see a lot of returning players coming back to the game as a white mage. And if you do, that's a mistake. Don't pick those players. I'll tell you why you don't pick those players. White Mage is the job that requires gear swap. White Mage is like one of the jobs that was considered when gear swap was ever thought of in the first place. The person or group of people who developed gear swap, they probably thought to themselves, man, I really wish that I could play my white mage better. Or, man, I really wish that I could play my red mage better. So those two jobs, red mage and white mage, have so many swaps that need to be made to their gear consistently in everything that they do in the party. They need to swap so many pieces of gear out that somebody sat down and took the time to actually build a gear swap program to help those kinds of people. And now we see everyone using gear swap. Everyone uses gear swap for everything. But honestly, I feel like it is most viable on jobs like red mage and white mage, jobs that require you to be really quick on your spell casting and really strong with your potency on your spells. And gear swap allows you to do that. Not to mention the fast cast and quick cast sets that you have access to, which you otherwise wouldn't have access to in most cases. Gear Swap is an amazing program. Everyone should be using this in their Windower 4 when they play this game. You should be playing this game with Windower 4. You should be using Lua files in your Gear Swap program. You should be using a lot of add-ons, but Gear Swap should probably be one of them. If you are a returning player and you take anything from this, take the fact that you need to be using Gear Swap. You need a really good White Mage Lua, and you need to be using Gear Swap to actually use that White Mage Lua. Okay, so now that I said that, let me just make a few more comments about this. If you're a returning player and you picked White Mage, according to this chart, that seems to be a popular choice, RP9. That's not true, but if it is, let's assume it is. You picked White Mage, you're coming back to the game. Do you use Gear Swap? Never heard of it. Okay, you shouldn't be playing White Mage, period. If you don't know what gear swap is, you shouldn't play this job because you're gonna suck and your party's gonna wipe. Probably more often than not, that is gonna be the case, and it will be your fault because you chose not to use the gear swap program that you should have. You should have done your homework. White Mage is one of the hardest jobs in the game to play. It requires probably the most gear in the game, the most intricate Lua file for their gear swap. They need to have everything thought of. They need to know when to put on a specific shield. They need to know when to put on their Yagrush and when not to put on their Yagrush. All this needs to be coded in their White Mage Lua file for their gear swap. And they have so many other pieces of gear that they require, all of which needs to be programmed. Okay? Otherwise, you need to have so many macro palettes, probably 10 plus macro palettes, and probably 30 or 40 equip sets dedicated to your White Mage, which is equip sets that you can't use in the vanilla client for other jobs because you're using them for White Mage. Do you see what I'm saying? So, like, playing a white mage as a main white mage, they'll tell you this job is really intense. You can't just pick up this job as a noob with like a gimp character and expect to do well as a white mage and get carried. Just because you're the healer doesn't mean you have to be the weakest link of the party. Just because you're the healer doesn't mean that your stats don't matter. Your stats matter more than you could ever imagine because you need to keep everyone alive. That requires an auto refresh idle set, which Gear Swap would give you. You don't just sit there in between spells and not have refresh gear on. That's stupid. But if you're not using Gear Swap, I'll check you and notice that you're not using Gear Swap because you're idling in fucking non-refresh gear. Big mistake. Big mistake. So there's so many gripes that I have about white mages not using Gear Swap. It's one of the jobs that you have to use Gear Swap for, or you just don't play it. Do you have to get Yagrush? I would recommend it, but you don't have to. You can beat all of the content in this game without Yagrush. Okay? So the white mage demand is there, but The players that are demanding the white mages, they don't think the same way I do. They think every white mage is the best thing since sliced bread, but that is incorrect. Most of your white mages in this game are bad. Most of the white mages that have ever joined your party are shit at this game, and it is because they're not using Gear Swap. Which is a sad thing to say, that they need a program to play their job because they can't play it. That's just how it works, though. In order to play White Mage well, you have to have a bot playing the job for you. That's how fucking difficult White Mage is to pilot. All right? So I don't have much else to say about that other than, yeah, just get Gear Swap, learn Gear Swap, and figure out how to write Lua files so you can actually build your own White Mage Lua, and you will get there. I don't think I have much interest in having the text-to-speech read anything else for me on this, because we're about done here. That's all the jobs in the game. And then there's this little chart at the bottom. It says scores for easy comparison. Remember, the total score factors in both the returning player and in-game scores. Jobs with the same score are listed alphabetically. Okay? Okay. Well, the guy gave him an S plus on the white mage score. Interesting, though. Oh, okay. I see what's going on here. Like the first column is like all of the jobs, and then their RP scores, and then more jobs, and then an EG score, and then there's a spot here, and then they ranked everything in the second side here. So the second side, everything's ranked out to the side, and they go first rank is the white mage, second rank is the geo, third rank is tied with bard, core rune, and summoner and warrior. And that is kind of all metagame choices. But that's for like Aeonics, honestly. When I'm looking at this chart, I'm thinking that the person who put this together really only spoke to people that do Aeonic parties, because all of these jobs on this list are jobs that you would bring to an Aeonic group or some really high tier battlefield content, with minor exceptions. Like, for example, Paladin goes to a lot of content, Black Mage and Red Mage goes to a lot of content, Puppet Master goes to a lot of content, and they're not up here with the rest of these jobs. White Mage being first is just a mistake. That's hilarious. Monk being last I can understand. Beastmaster should not be last, though. They're just non-meta. Beastmaster is a non-meta job that can do the same exact thing Summoner can, just as well as Summoner can. And you're telling me that it's last place, but Summoner's basically first? That's stupid. Thief is last, even though it's one of the more popular choices in this game, and it's used against Helm bosses in Vrisenjima, and everything else imaginable? Like, and it's last? No, that's silly. So some of these are definitely out of place. Scholar, Paladin, Blue Mage, that should be way the fuck up here, right? But that's just how they did it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end it here, because I think we talked enough about this Reddit article. And again, I found it on my this Facebook group that I'm in, FFXI Azure group, Azure server. They post random stuff on here, and I checked it out. But I really thought that I could help by giving my 2 cents on this article, how I feel about it. And I feel like I'm pretty accurate with most of the statements I make here. But there's not much else to say. So we'll go ahead and end the video here. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for your time listening to my take on this game. I really like making videos like this where I get everyone else's input and I kind of pick them apart and show the strengths and weaknesses of what they're trying to say. So I really would like to see more charts like this made. And in general, I would say that this guy did a good job. He did a good job, not a great job, but a good job at actually listing this for players for the information to get out there. And I'm just glad I was here to read it and kind of give my take on it. So that's it for this video, and I guess I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.